Hello dear student. Today's session here we discuss about the cell. We all are known about the cell, but in this lesson I want to repeat with the basic introduction about the cell. Because of the if we are very goodly known about the human anatomy and physiology, so you should know about the basic things about the cell. So let us continue the today's session with cell. Okay, let us start. The cell is the fundamental unit of life. Each and every life, that may be from the small microorganism to the big shark, each and every living materials, the smallest unit is the cell. So in this cell, first thing we discuss about the structure and function of cell. First, the structure, that means what is the shape of cell? The cell is mainly made up of the which type of the constituents and which thing that made up of the cell. Those things we have to learn into the structure of cells. And another thing, this is the function of cell. How this cell are that become work. Different cells having the different function. So what is the reason behind that? All things we have to discuss into the cell function. So let us continue the today's session. This is the definition of cell. First thing, what is the cell? The cell is the basic structural and functional unit of a living organism. Suppose the cell having the basic structure. If you are collecting the cell from the amoeba, this is the small microorganism is there. And if you are collecting the cell from the human body, if you are observing the under microscope, you are getting the basic things of the structure are same. Suppose that having the cell membrane, that have the nucleus, that have the cytoplasm. This is the basic structural of the each and every cell, that from the small microorganism as well as the large microorganism. So this is the basic structure and a functional unit of living organism. That means suppose we discuss about the human body. In the human body, we have so many lakhs of varieties of the cells, but each and every cells having the specific function. Suppose I want to give one simple example to you. You are thinking our tongue having the specific cell, those are responsible for the taste. Suppose our ears have the specific varieties of the cell is there, those are responsible for hearing the sound. So this is the specific cell having the specific function. So we can say the cell is the basic structural and functional unit of living organism. In other words, the cell make up of the living things and carry out the activities that keep a living things alive. Suppose we have one stone is there. This stone we are observing under microscope, and during those we observe the cell, but those cell can't perform any varieties of the activities, that means but respiration and that become ATP generation. This never thing happening in the stone cell. But if you are selecting the cell from the plant and observing under microscope, you are getting some different varieties of the activities that indicate those have the activities, those cell material we can say this is the living, and those can produce the any varieties of the activities we can say this is the non-living thing. So this simple thing we are getting from the cell. Here you can see this is the basic structure we identifies into the cell structure. If you are getting from the small microorganism to large microorganism, you are getting the sum of the basic constituents, some of the basic organelles into the cell. Suppose here you can see this is the blue color, this is the cell membrane is there, this is the light blue color, this is cytoplasm is there, and this is the slightly pinkish in color, this is the nucleus is there. So this is the common thing we have to identify into the cell. Apart from these, so many others organisms we also identify. This is mitochondria, Golgi complex, ribosome, this is the vacuoles, this is peroxisome, this is centriole, cell membrane, cytoplasm, lysosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, DNA and nucleus. So we all things we have to discuss in one by one. But before we discuss these, first here we should know the basic cell theory, means evolution theory of cell. The cell is the collection of ideas and conclusion from the many different scientists over the time and describe the cell and how the cell that become operated. So this is the basic fundament of the cell theory. These we discuss in these all non-living things are made up of the one or more cell. We are not, suppose we have amoeba only made up of one cell. We are the human being made up of the more cells, means multiple cells. All living cells arising from the pre-existing cell by the cell division. Suppose any one cell, those are divided. This process we can say cell division, and that's in the two cell. We discuss in detail about the cell division, but this is the basic things. And the cell is the basic unit of the structural and function in the all living organism. So this is the basic fundament of cell theory. But who can discover this thing? So let us here you can see this is the timeline of cell theory. First thing, in the 1665, the Robert Hooke discovered the first cell in the cork. The first time, 1665, the Robert Hooke discovered the cell. After the 1674, the Anton van Leeuwenhoek observing the living cell in under the microscope. And that decide the something activity are done into cells and those material, those things that become living. Next, 1883, the Robert Brown discovered the nucleus in the cell, that find the nucleus have inside the cell. Next, 1835, the Felix Duserding discovered the fluid content of the cell. Those here we can say this is the cytoplasm, but during those times that only just says some varieties of the fluid we identify into the cell. 1838, this is the Matthews Caden proposed all plant made up of the cells, small plant as well as large plant, all plant are made up of the cell. This first time that discovered by this scientist. 1839, J.E. Perkins, the named fluid content of the cells as the protoplasm. This scientist, 1835, Felix Duserdane, that said that some content in liquid content, fluid content is there in the nucleus cell. But this fluid content that give the name, this is the protoplasm by the first time given by the J.E. Perkins. Next, in 1839, the Theodore Cowan proposed all animal is also made up of the cell. Animal is also made up of the cell. And apart from these, 1845, Carl Heinrich Braun proposes cell is the basic unit of life. First time those are include the related to definition related to the cell. Proposed cell is basic unit of life. This cell is the basic and smallest unit of life. First time this decided by this is the Carl Heinrich Braun. In 1885, Rudolf Virchow proposed that the whole cell arise from the pre-existing cell. That means the one cell is there that produces cell division and that arise that synthesize the two varieties of the cell. This first thing this discovered by the Raoul Virchow. So this is the small cell theory timeline. I hope you learn basic things from the discovery of cell. Thank you very much.